Hey guys, we're back with part two of the business card mockup tutorial. And today I'm just going to be teaching guys how to roughly design a business card. And so what we will be starting with is guidelines. And what I mean guidelines is just what you see on the screen right here. So I'll tell you what all these guidelines mean and how they affect, the design of a business card. So let's get into it. This blue line that you see, this first line right here, this is basically the content area. And as you can see, I've written down content area 1 inch or 1/8 of an inch of white space. That's basically meaning that from here to from this line to this green line, then just so you guys know, the green line is your original card. That's the size of the card. It's a 2 by 3.5. So from here to here is 1/8 of an inch. Now you can set it to whatever parameters you want. You can put it at a quarter, you can put it at an eighth, you can put it even at 5/16 if you want to. Doesn't matter. Just make sure that you put it, you know, not close to the edges because when you send the design to some printer and he has to cut it, you don't want him to miscut and then your designs be all messed up and look, really, really bad. I mean, he shouldn't be miscutting anyway, but you know, just to give him a little bit more leeway, make it better for the next person that has to do this job, just give him a little bit of space to work with. So that's what that is. Now, this red line that you see in the back, you can barely see it, but this red line in the back is your bleed area, and it's also 1/8 of an inch. Now, again, you can make it as big as you want, you can make it as small as you want. Doesn't really matter. Just know that that is your bleed. Now, if you do not have like a specific color going in the background or a picture or um, like with mine, the one that I designed, these lines, they're not meant to bleed out over the whole thing. They're meant to stop in that content area. So I didn't put it all the way out. But if you have like a picture that you want to cover the whole card, or say you have little accents, so say you have, I'm just gonna grab the pen tool here. So say you have like you have like a triangle looking pattern and it's going like this and all that kind of stuff. You want it to be out and into that bleed area because it's going to be covering that whole card. If you only put it, say you only say you're very meticulous about it and you put it right here. So say you put it right here and it's going like this. And we'll just say that we don't have this here. So say you do that. When you do that, you're running the risk of when you send it to the printer that he may miscut and then you may get, you know, one side may be perfectly straight while the other side may not be perfectly straight and you may get like a little bit of white space because you didn't add a bleed or you didn't push this out into that bleed area. So just something to keep in mind. I'm gonna go back to where I had those. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm just gonna check the time. Okay, so now that we've covered that, so you know what the guidelines are and you know what all those guidelines mean. So now let's talk about a little bit of just the design of the card. So the design that I've made, this is not an original, but I try not to really just completely copy the other person's design. Now I'm not saying that I plagiarized or copied someone's actual like business card. It was another mock-up, and I'll show you the picture here. My computer will stop being slow. I found a picture off the internet of a business card that I really liked the design of. My computer stopped being slow. Here it is. So I basically took off the design of this, but I didn't, make it, strongly the exact same, but a little bit the same. I mean, very close. But I designed it in like this because I liked the style of it. It looked really cool, really clean. So I took I hate saying took and all that kind of stuff because I mean I know I basically did, but for tutorial purpose, just bear with me. So the design of it is not, big and extravagant. It's very just clean, simple. You can design the card however you want. And if you already have a card that you've designed, that's good. Use it. If you have a front or back, whatever. Now, CorelDRAW is not the same as Illustrator in exporting and um, converting stuff to Photoshop. With Illustrator, you have the ability to do just copy what you have on your screen here and paste it into Photoshop and make it a smart object, and you can go back and forth from Illustrator to Photoshop and work with things. Sadly, it's not the same case with CorelDRAW to Photoshop. You can't do that, so that really does hinder you a little bit. But I will show you guys how to do it. One Some things that you may want to take in consideration, or well, I've took it in consideration. I don't know if you really have to, but this white box, and I'll make it black so you can see, or actually, I'll just make it green. Um, this green box is the original size of the card. It's the 2 by 3.5 and all that stuff. But for when you export to Photoshop, it'll put it in the exact dimensions that you have set on here. So if I had it, but that doesn't mean that it'll put it to the page size. I think I'll be able to have, it'll put whatever images you have on the screen. So if I have this up to what it is here, if I have it up to say 3 by 4, you know, and I export it to Photoshop or to a Photoshop document, it will export it as this, and it'll make the document size what this green box is. So you don't want to do that. So just make sure that you're very careful if you use CorelDRAW. I know that most of you probably don't. You probably use Illustrator. Great, great program, to use it in. So, but for tutorial purposes, I keep saying that a lot and I don't know why, but in any case, so for what we're doing right here, we're just going to be using this, and I'm just going to put it on a blank white, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, a blank white, and then all you'll do is just go up to File, go to Export. Now I already have some of the settings saved, so when I export, it'll just open up and it'll automatically go to the PSD, but if you don't have that, or I mean, if it's not already selected for you, just type in PS, and then you'll get to Adobe Photoshop, click it. Um, you can click uncompressed or compression. It's just basically the size of which it will be going to. I don't really mess with it too much because sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. Like when you uncompress something, it may come into Photoshop as as the same quality, but sometimes it may not. It's weird. But so we have this here, and I'm not gonna override my stuff, and I'm not gonna save it again because I don't want my computer to lag like crap. So, I don't have a great computer. But let me just check the time. I'm sorry. Okay, 8 minutes. So now that we're getting to that, so you just export it. Oh, I'm sorry. Here, I'll at least just do this one. So you export it. You can put it as RLE compression or uncompressed. I'm going to put it as uncompressed because I don't want it to possibly distort it. So we're going to put it as uncompressed. We're going to hit export. And then it'll bring up just this tab. You want to have transparent background selected. Now, what it will not do is or I mean, I'm sorry. What this will do is it will put a transparent background for you, but it will not delete this white area that you have. But you can get rid of that in Photoshop and it'll get rid of it, nice and clean. Just make sure that you don't set it to a color that is close to anything else that you have colored into your design. So if you have this background set it to a white, make sure that or a pure white, make sure nothing is set at a pure white, make it an offset white or anything like that. So you'll have it here. Make sure that when you send it to it that it's in a 300 dpi. It'll make it a very, very, very nice quality. And you'll see the size of it. I can't remember. I think it does change if you do put it in the RLE compression. But for now, we'll just keep it there. And I'm not gonna save it or anything like that. You just do that for the same. You design the back and all that kind of stuff. I guess I can talk about a little bit of the back. I know I'm going a little bit over my time limit here, but I'll just talk about it briefly. So, um, I have talked about designing a business card in a previous video. I'm not going to link it because I'll talk a little bit more better about how to design a business card now because I've gotten a little bit more experience. So what I've learned about designing a business card is that you don't have to have a lot of information on there. You just need what I figure to be just basic contact information. You know, give a phone number, a fax number, an email. You can link a website as I have here. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to list all of those things, but I would just list the very important stuff, the stuff that you check the most. So say if you check your email the most every day, or you check your phone the most every day, you know, maybe put those two on there, or just put one of them. It doesn't matter. You design it how you want it to. Put your name, put what you are, all that kind of stuff. And what I did for just down here, I mean, just because I didn't want it to just be, um, I just didn't want it to be so bland like this. I just copied the front of this, basically took the colors, swapped the colors out, and just put it down here, and they just made it just a little bit smaller. So, and then you can design it however you want. The way that I just designed it, I just made it really simple, clean, whatever. So that's that. So now that I've showed you guys how to design the business card, or well, yeah, design the business card that I've made, and or helped you possibly figure out how to design a business card in general, we are going to go to the After Effects part of part three, and it will be After Effects. It will be touch-ups of the business card uh, template. So we'll go back to Photoshop for this. I will see you guys in the next part.